Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our favorite Saturday morning show, The Pact, where we bring you interesting stories of people who are making a difference and a positive impact in the community that we live in. Today we have a very exciting guest with us, all the way from New York. Her name is Sushma Sharma. Sushma, hello.
Hi, Vinita.
Is the weather good in New York? Is it a warm, sunny day?
It's really hot today.
Are you
Big
wishing
change from California?
Yes. You're wishing you were in Bay Area, sitting right next to me, having chai with me, don't you?
I wish so too, really. But I'm sure we can do that pretty soon.
Okay, that's a promise.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, why is Sushma on the show today? Sushma's on the show today because I am taking my hat off to her. She is a lawyer who is an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur in the tech world. That's a really brave step in my opinion. Not only is she a female entrepreneur in the tech world, she has started a company which, how do I put it, is about to revolutionize the latent knowledge sitting in all of us, in you and me and the person next to you on the train or in the coffee shop. She is going to Uberize it, if I may so say. Sushma, Konversai.
Yes.
That's your new little baby. Tell us how the idea of Konversai came to you. Was it an aha moment, or was it slowly kind of creeping up on you?
There was an aha moment, but I think the aha moment came because of what you've seen through all your life and basically how your brain evolves. And eventually you reach a point and it's like, aha, everything clicks together. So I did have an aha moment. I've been a lawyer for many years, and I've dealt with different kinds of people, seen a lot of knowledge scattered or wasted. I've been a professor for 6 years, teaching law to students, where I saw that it was just amazing how young people were missing out on so many opportunities, so much on life, because they were not connected to the right people or to the right knowledge base.
Wait, let me stop you right there. So you think we're connected on social media, but we're not connected knowledge to knowledge?
Oh, absolutely. Social media connection is very different than what I call the real connection, the honest connection. I've had a lot of students who had issues, and they would come to me with problems, and they were really small problems, to be honest. And I thought, well, this you should resolve on your own. I'll help you, but why don't you go to your parents? Well, the answer was always no. And the difference came when I said, why don't you go to your friends? And that's where they said, oh, no, we can't talk to our friends about it. And that was surprising from our generation to the current generation, mainly because we would talk to our friends. And they said, but on social media, basically on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook, I am such a cool person, partying, happy-go-lucky, no problems in life, always strong, always knows everything. I can't suddenly go and tell them that, hey, I have this problem. So they have some kind of what I call the merging of their virtual life and the real life. They're not able to distinguish that, and that is a big problem. So the connections made are very fake, and that is basically that problem that people are having consequences.
So we're talking about little bits of knowledge floating around in the air that you think are valuable, and making honest connections. And so how does all of this lead to Konversai?
Okay, so the premise of the whole company is that every single human being in the world, every single person has knowledge. That knowledge is based on not just their education, but their life experiences.
Can't argue with that.
Exactly, like the fact that you have moved, 20 times in your life, and I've moved 10 times. That knowledge is very valuable. And our recent move to New York, I still needed a lot of help, which came from people who live here, who have been here, who know the place. That's very simple. Now, say you're going on a vacation, what better way than to talk to someone who actually has been there, done that, or someone who actually lives there? Learning a language, same thing. Every single sphere of life, there's someone who has done that before you, who knows, who's not an expert in it, but knows a little bit more than you, and that is sufficient for you.
You know what this is reminding me of? This is reminding me of, when we were growing up, there was a certain, and it's in our shastras and everything, that age creates wisdom, and so the more you live, the more wisdom you collect. And at some point of time, way back in our culture, we were respecting people who had lived enough because they had gathered enough wisdom. And I'm seeing that come back in a very millennial kind of fashion in your company, because you're saying everybody has knowledge. And with age you get more knowledge, of course, but a 16-year-old has knowledge, a 12-year-old has knowledge. They have not nowadays have knowledge about things that you and I know very little about. You probably more than me.
I agree. You're absolutely right. I think my daughter could teach me how to make an iMovie much more than I think another 40-year-old.
And how old is your daughter?
She's good. She's 10 years old.
Okay. So your 10-year-old is about to teach you how to make an iMovie, and on Konversai, you're going to Uberize that, if I may say so. Okay. So I interrupted what was a very arresting description of the company. Okay. So there is knowledge, and there is the need for little bits of knowledge that is not commensurate with, that is not sort of connected to the need for the greater knowledge at a classroom or in a continuing studies kind of program or something. It's just knowledge that helps you with day-to-day getting on.
So that is one part of the business. So once you start putting a platform like this together, you realize that you don't want to limit it just to what I call bite-sized knowledge. Now, bite-sized knowledge is very important for our day-to-day, as you mentioned. But there is also, if I want to learn guitar or if I want to learn Spanish, now I don't have to drive my kid around to take her or him to every day after school struggling to get someone so that they could do a 30-minute class so that they can learn something. We can do all that on this platform. So you could do bite-sized learning. So you're telling me
that I could take a music class from some music maestro living in Milan or Bangalore, sitting in my Bay Area apartment.
Absolutely. You could do that. So it's all about providing access and personalized learning. It could be for one session. It could be for 100 sessions. So my daughter learns guitar on this. She does Spanish on it. And all these kind of learning, it grows. Okay. And eventually she'll probably outgrow one teacher, move on to the next one, find someone else.
And then really the world will be her I guess her college, because she'll be able to pick and choose bits of education from anywhere and everywhere. So all of this hinges on the Konversai platform. Tell me a little bit about the platform. How does it actually work?
So the interesting thing about this platform is, and how it's different from other platforms, most places are what I call have a linear model. You go, you pay, and you learn something, and which is a absolutely acceptable model. But on this one, it's more of a virtuous loop. So you go and you learn something, and then you can teach the same thing. So you can, obviously, it's not a place where you just spend money, but you also make money. It is, as you called it, Uberization. So it is, every single person can be what I call a provider, providing something, and they can also be a seeker. So to give you an example, is one person joined, and she started learning Spanish. She didn't know any Spanish. She did around 45 sessions, and by that time she was fluent enough to actually start giving basic sessions. So she started teaching basic Spanish to younger kids. So she was, and on the other hand, she was taking lessons from pro Spanish speakers at the same time. So you could be doing it at the same time. So it's all about who are you learning from? Somebody who knows a little bit more than you. So you could be a provider for 5 different things. Let's just say you're fond of mathematics, or you're fond of traveling, and you're fond of beauty. And you could be offering your services in these 3. And if you want, you can learn some. You can get a counselor. You can learn some kind of cooking from someone. So you could pick and choose. And if whatever you need doesn't fit in, you can go in what we call the wild card. So one certain group of people who are joining right now are all provider group. They are the provider base. They want to teach. They want to teach someone. On the other hand, you could be a seeker. If you're looking for something, you go, you find your provider. If the provider doesn't exist, is not there, then you put a seek out and say, hey, I am looking for someone who can help me plan a trip to Iceland, and this is my budget, and this is my timeline. And somebody would bid on it and say, hey, I can help you with that, because I have been there. So a lot of times what I realized is that people didn't even know they had knowledge to share till somebody asked them. Then they realized, oh,
if any of you want to get your kids into a school in Paris, I can help you with that.
See, so you would never have thought of putting it up till someone said,
no,
oh my God,
can
someone really help me with that?
I put three kids into Paris schools 3 times. So anybody out there listening who wants to send a kid to Paris or is moving to Paris, please connect with me on Konversai. I'm about to make a provider box.
Okay, fantastic. So all you do is you go up here, you create a provider box, and you, exactly like you said, I can teach you, I can tell you all about joining schools in Paris or traveling to Paris or French language. Either you pick whatever, one of them. Then you say, I can teach you for 30 seconds. I can talk to you for 30 minutes, and I'll charge you this amount. Now, obviously, Vinita, you probably won't be charging anything, but I would recommend that when people charge, they could donate the money, or they could obviously just earn it.
Okay, so I'm going to teach French, and all the money I earn is going to get donated to Enact. Okay, sign me up.
Done.
Now.
Done. So see, that's
brilliant.
What we do. So you just put it. It's incredible how much we do know.
Je suis on board.
Yeah.
That's my good French. Okay, so how is all this? Okay, listeners, first, I encourage you to go look at the website and explore what Sushma has just said. Sushma, tell us how you spell Konversai and tell us what the website is.
So the website is www.konversai.com. Konversai is spelled as Konversai. So so basically it's a knowledge-based conversation. So made up word, Konversai, Konversai.
Okay, so we are conversing. Okay, how is it going to revolutionize the world? Because that is your ultimate vision. I know.
That is my ultimate vision because number one, true connections. Real conversations, honest conversations. Want a place where people can go and say, I don't know this, I want to learn this. And on the other hand, you see people who are highly successful who are saying, I want to learn this. That gives you a feeling of, wow, I don't have to pretend anymore. That's the first thing. Lack of pretension, being honest, and real conversations and communications. Secondly, this kind of knowledge base has not been tapped in anywhere. It has not been done. It has not happened yet. So if that can happen, that you can be sitting in a corner in Philippines or Indonesia or in Texas, and you can make money while teaching people or sharing your knowledge with people anywhere in the world. That's another factor, which is you are able to make money off the skill set, knowledge, experience, basically just on who you are.
Yeah. So Uber did it with cars that were sitting around and people who had a little bit of spare time, and they said, hey, this is your incremental income opportunity, which is now providing a pretty decent service, to everybody because taxis are not always affordable or available. And they've sort of filled in the interstices. Airbnb has done the same thing. If you have a room in your house lying around, or if you have a house lying around, you can sort of interstitially earn money out of that. But to do it with knowledge, that's
just use your brain. You don't need a car. You don't need
that's pretty
a house.
Incredible. That's about as universal as it gets. Yes. And the idea that you could exchange knowledge. I'm just sitting here and thinking, 3 years ago when we were doing graphic design for Enact, I was working with somebody in Ukraine who was a animation expert, and I was trying to learn from him how to get our little elephant to dance on our logo. And of course, it was so difficult that I finally, the communication between Ukraine and the Bay Area was so difficult that I finally gave up. But I'm now going to search him out, and I'm going to tell him to create a provider box on Konversai, and maybe my elephant will dance.
Yes, it possibly will. We have some amazing computer animation people on the site, actually. And they have been teaching. So some of the more, I would say, popular categories have been language and food and beauty. But there are some pretty accomplished computer animation people in the tech group. And I'm keen, like, I want to learn from them.
And creating mobile apps and video games. You know, this is all stuff that happens in people's teenagers' rooms in their spare time between getting fake IDs and... But it also, you know, you're giving them something legitimate to do. And I have a lot of, you know, I've dealt with a lot of college students because I taught for over 6 years. And I realized that there's a lot of time for them where it's just wastage. And then they get involved in all this. And the opportunity to earn money and feel good about themselves and realize that knowledge is respected, whether it comes from a 10-year-old making an iMovie or a 60-year-old like my Mamaji who makes the best gulab jamuns in the world. I'm about to get him a provider box.
And that would be great, actually.
So, you know, every time you say you, I hear an accent. So clearly you came from wherever it is you came from in India to New York via someplace.
Via England, yes.
Yes, that's where it is. What were you up to in England?
Oh, I was studying law at Oxford.
You were studying law at Oxford, were you? Okay.
Yes.
So from Oxford and then... To Columbia. That is some serious knowledge that you're carrying around in your head. Law in Oxford, law in Columbia, and then teaching law, and then suddenly jump into the tech world. Was it scary at any point?
It was hard.
Tell me some of the challenges that you face on a daily basis.
It's not been an easy ride, but no one said it was going to be. For the company itself, I think I reached a point when the aha moment actually came, and I was like, okay, this is it for me. I actually said to people, and I think it was pretty strong, that I think I was born to do this. This is what I have been doing all my life, and I didn't realize it was connecting people. And now I know this is what I'm supposed to do. I finally found my purpose. But I'm not a tech person at all. So it was not easy to be I was in California then, to be in California, not be part of the inner group, not be a tech person, be a woman and not in their 20s, not having, you know, a trust fund sitting there, and a woman of color. You are breaking
so many stereotypes. A woman of color, not techie, revolutionizing access to something we didn't even know we had. We didn't acknowledge that we had these little gems of knowledge that are all floating around inside us that could be so useful to somebody else in bite-sized pieces, as you said.
But what is amazing, Vinita, is like one of my most important, I think, way of thinking has been that focus on the positive in this. That I have faced a lot of issues, but let's not go on that. The main thing has been that there have been so many people who have supported this. So many people who have said that we need it and that this will work. And that has given me, the enthusiasm, the energy to work on this. So the rest is, finding the right team. It takes a while, but if you're on it, you'll find it. You'll get the people who are
Once you know what the
with
problem is, then you can find ways to solve it. Would you say that's correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you are an inspiration to so many people because of everything you've done up until this moment and because of what you're doing right now. Usually towards the end of the show, which we are unfortunately at, I ask people that I'm chatting with, for some words of inspiration to the young people who are listening to our program. What you've been teaching young people for a long time, and this platform is going to impact young people in a way that they have not even realized yet. So what would you say to young people who are looking for their passion and who want to make are committed to making a positive impact in the community? What would you say to them?
Usually I write a speech for that. But
I'm not giving you time to write a speech. They don't want a speech. They want from the heart, off the cuff.
From the heart. No, I agree. No, the speeches are also from the heart. But to be honest, based on my experience, what I realized is don't be in a rush. Things come at the time when they're supposed to come. And I think when I was younger and when I deal with young people, they're in a rush to be extremely successful very, very fast. That's number one. Number two, it's not about the money. It's never about the money. If you're going to do something just for money, it will not work, or it will not give you the right satisfaction. That is just it's just the means to get to another end. So find your passion, but again, don't be in a rush. It'll come to you. Give it time. Train yourself before you get there. People are ready to make a jump in their 20s. They should be millionaires because there are so many stories right out there that they're in a big rush. So I would say get a job, learn from others, and then eventually you will reach a point where you'll know this is your path. And
that moment could come in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s. It could come much later.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
will come.
But you should be open for it. You should be open to it. And never feel that, oh my God, this is too hard, I can't do it. So my policy is say yes first, then figure out how.
And meanwhile, get onto the Konversai platform, make some money.
Yes.
Telling people, sharing your knowledge with all the people out there in the world. So, New York, are you going to teach, or are you going to stay focused completely on Konversai?
Oh, absolutely, on Konversai.
Do you have a provider box? What do you teach on Konversai?
Well, I talk a lot about travel. I do a lot of travel things, and I do a little bit of career counseling and things like that.
So, young people, there it is. Look out for Sushma Sharma's career counseling provider box on konversai.com, and you might get some really useful tips on how to break every stereotype of a tech startup and learn something interesting.
Absolutely. So I also have one on startups, so definitely.
You have one on startups. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is. We already have plenty of knowledge to get from you. And so your 10-year-old daughter, we're going to close the program with her.
Yes.
Other than iMovies, what do you think she could be teaching you?
Teaching me? Well, honestly, there are so many apps that she could teach me on that. And any day, I'm kind of tone deaf, and she's a really good singer. She could teach me that. She plays the guitar much better than I do. So again, and I have done one session, so I need to do more. There she does Kathak. She could teach me that. So there are a lot of things that she could be teaching me.
That's just beautiful to hear. That you acknowledge that your 10-year-old has skills that you don't possess, and she could teach you, and that other 10-year-olds in the world could be teaching you things, and you're really empowering the community. I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody who's going to benefit from Konversai, and I'm going to say a very heartfelt, I hope you have enormous success.
Thank you so much, Vinita, and thank you so much for having me on the show. It's amazing to actually talk to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you want to check this out, www.konversai.com. And I want to thank you, Sushma, for taking time out of must be a horrifically busy weekend to sit down and chat with us. It's been real.
It's an honor.
Take care. and
Thank
enjoy the heat of New York. Haha.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thanks and bye.
Bye. Take
Bye.
care.